Good morning! Since you are already started answering the modules from your other subjects, we shall now proceed with the technology and livelihood education, particularly in home economics. I'm Sailina May Quidno, your teacher for today. From this module, you will be learning on performing mise en place. Quarter 2, Lesson 1, about preparing and cooking seafood dishes. You will be exploring the topics on the types of fish, its composition and structure, the market forms, the different cooking techniques, how to check its freshness, its nutritive value, and how to process the fish as scaling. But before that, at the end of each lesson, you will be able to grasp the following learning objectives. Letter A, determine the structure and composition of fish. Letter B, explain the market forms of fish. Letter C, apply the steps in processing the fish for cooking in your daily lives. Let's begin. Fill in the statement about fish. Choose on the words in the box below. Write your answer in a separate sheet of paper. A fish is an animal which blank and breathes in water. Your answer is correct. This is an animal which lives and breathes in water. Nice, you're doing great. Another, guess this jumble word. What do you think is this word that best describes about fish? You're correct. The correct word is squid. Now, let's get started. We have here the classification of fish. So fish products have two categories. Number one here is we have finfish. Finfish, fish with fins and internal skeletons. One here is we have saltwater fish. Examples are flatfish, flounder, and sole. The example shown there is a flounder, which it has a lot of fins around its body. Another, we have roundfish. We have the black sea bars, the bluefish, cod, and grouper. So an example again on the illustration is a black sea bars. So it's different with the first one because it may not look like round, but the fins are surrounding its body and the structure differs with the first one, finfish. Another is we have the freshwater fish. What do you think are examples of this freshwater fish, which is particular in our locality? Okay, we have here a tilapia, correct. So catfish and eel are also example. Another, we have here the shellfish, fish with external shells but no internal bone structure. So the other one has a bone structure and this one does not have. So this have the harder outer shells. We have two classifications of shellfish. Letter A is mollusks, which are soft animals. So an example of you have said a while ago is the clams. So in clams, in letter A, it has three classification. We have bivalves, which it is a pair of hinged shells. Example of that are clams and oysters. Another, we have univalves. So this includes a single shell. So an example is abalone. Then we have cephalopods. An example are octopus and squid. So because it has a lot of segments around its body, so it's called cephalopods. Another, we have crustaceans. These are animals with segmented shells and jointed legs. Examples are shrimps and crabs. So because it has a lot of segments. So any questions on the classification of fish? If none, let's keep going. So let's proceed with the parts of fish. So in this picture, we have 14 parts. So fishes are cold-blooded animals. Cold-blooded because since they are in the water. Typically with backbone, gills, and fins. The body of a typical fish comprises the head, the trunk, and the tail. Where do you think is the trunk there? Correct, it's in the middle. The head bears 2 eyes with well-developed nictitating membrane, 2 internal ears, 2 nostrils. So the picture cannot be seen the other nostril, so it's only nares, which are closed internally, except if it is a lungfishes, because fishes differ with the structure they have, and the mouth. Behind the head, on each side, there are either gill slits or gills meant for respiration. It doesn't mean if it has nares or nostrils, they usually use that for them to breathe. The gills are usually covered with lid-like structure. So inside the gills are lead-like structure. The operculum, so it is called operculum. Since the neck is absent, the head is continued into the trunk. So it's correct that the trunk is in the middle because it doesn't have a neck. Paired or unpaired expansions of the skin are called fins. So if there are paired or unpaired fins, then it's called an expansion, unpaired expansion. But if it is paired, then those are paired fins. Of the paired fins, there are generally anterior pectoral and posterior pelvic veins in that, 4 paired fins, which correspond to the arms and legs as of human respectively. The unpaired fins of the trunk region are generally dorsal fin. So if it's unpaired, it is called dorsal fin. In some cases, it has only 2 or 3. It depends on the fish. And we also have the ventral or anal fin. It's on the last part of the fish, which is present ventrally or horizontally near the anus or cloacal aperture. The expanded part of fin is supported by the thin skeletal rods. So the thin skeletal rods there are known as the fin rays. The trunk bears anal or cloaca aperture. So that is on the end of the fish. The part of the body behind the anus is designated as a tail, which is different shapes in different species. It always has caudal fin. So the caudal fin there is the tail fin, which is supported by fin rays. More or less, all the fins are helpful in swimming. Of course, they could not swim if they don't have fins. A percullar system of sense organs, or the lateral system, is present in the fishes. The lateral line system there are the horizontal. So it's present in the fishes. One lateral line on each side can be seen easily, as seen in the picture. The body of fish may or not be covered with scales. The sexes are separate as well. They are usually oviparous. Meaning of oviparous is producing young by means of eggs which are hatched after they have been laid by the parent. So that is oviparous. Such as, example, we have the birds. But ovoviviparous, so in meaning of that again is the producing young by means of hatched eggs within the body of the parent. Example is the snakes. Or viviparous, it is developed inside the body of the parent. Or another example is reproducing from buds which form plantlets, which still attach to the parent plant, or from seeds which germinate within the fruit. So those are forms that also found in the fish. Okay, any questions with the parts of fish? Okay, if none, let's proceed with the next one. So let's now check freshness of the fish, particularly on the fin fish. So we only have 5, but if you will be searching in the internet, there are a lot, but it is only summarized for at least 5 steps. So number 1 there is, it should be fresh and mild odor. Next we have, the eyes are clear, shiny, and bulging. Should not be shrinking or it doesn't have reddish on it. It should be only clear. Next we have red or pink gills. You'll be checking the gills inside. It should only be color red and pink. Next we have texture of flesh is firm or elastic. So if you will be touching it, it should not be shrinking. It should have an elastic texture. And lastly, it should have shiny scales and tightly cling on skin. Cling meaning it still be intact. The scales are intact on the skin. So these are the pictures on how you would check the freshness of the fish. So first is, it should have fresh and mild odor. Second, eyes are clear, shiny and bulging. Third, red or pink gills. Fourth, texture of flesh is firm or elastic. 5, shiny scales and tightly cling on skin. Do you have any questions? If none, then let's proceed. We have here the cooking techniques for fish. So we have said that fishes are delicate and easily overcooked. So have you tried cooking fish at home? Did you burn it or did you just cook it like as is? Okay, so during cooking, test for doneness must be observed. So how is this done? So the fish just separate into flakes. So if you will be using a fork, then you separate it, then it easily separates into its flakes. And number 2, if bone is present, the flesh separates from the bone. So the bone should be no longer pink if it is done. 3, the flesh becomes opaque, which means it's usually white. So we have here the different kinds of fish to be cooked. We have 2. Number 1 there is linfish. So linfish has almost no fat. So it is easily becomes dry. So it is best served with sauces to enhance moistness and gives richness. So what cooking technique will you be using? One there is poaching. So it is the moist heat method suit. Fish should be basted with butter or oil if broiled or baked. So if you will be broiling it and baking it, then you should at least put some butter or oil in it so it will not be burned easily. Next, we have lean fish may be fried or sauteed to gain palatability from added fat. So you could also add some fat when you will be sauteing and frying. So those are for the lean fish. Next, we have here the fat fish. So the fat in fish enables them to tolerate more heat without becoming dry. So the other one, we need to place some butter or oil in it. But for this, we are no longer adding oil or butter in it because it's already a fatty fish. So in this kind of cooking techniques, fat fish can be cooked by poaching. So the same true with the lean fish. The only difference is you will be adding butter and oil onto the lean fish. Fat fish are well suited to broiling and baking. The dry heat methods eliminate excessive oiliness. An example of that is smoking. Large fat fish like salmon and mackerel can be cooked in fat, but care should be taken to avoid excessive greasiness because it has a lot of oil in it. Understood? Thank you for listening and active participation throughout the discussion. To sum it up, we had learned on the types of fish and shellfish, its structure, checking its freshness, and its cooking techniques. It is important to know its type, structure to check its freshness, and cooking techniques since you are all grown-ups already, and it can be of big help to your parents, guardians, to at least know the basics of cooking. Also, it will help you to choose a good quality for a fish dish product. In What's More, you will be presented with Activity 1, 2, and 3, along with the assessments 1, 2, and 3. Do it one after the other. If you have some questions, it is important to ask the help of your parents or guardians or elder siblings. You can also text, call, send, or direct message in my messenger. Kindly provide a separate sheet of papers or a notebook for you to answer each of the activities with a proper label. You have to answer also your post-assessment so that you will know whether you mastered the learning competency or you need to go back to the activities where you got low. Also, answer the additional activity for supplementary task from the module. Use the answer key at the back page to check your answers. This is your module in TLE Cookery 10. I hope you have a great time accomplishing the activities. Thank you and God bless.